Hello all, and welcome to the second beer review of the night. And this one is another lighter beer. Excuse me, I always get an error message whenever I start recording a video now. I don't know why. I really wish I knew what I was doing in regards to that, but I know what I'm doing when in regards to, like, drinking beer. Okay, so, back to beer review. Another light beer, this time from a growler fill from Three Peaks. And this is Lanikai Brewing's Sea-Kissed Guava Gose, which I may have had on tap at their tap room before the pandemic occurred. I can't recall. Usually when I go to the tap room, I'm with the company of other people, so I'm not really paying attention too well to the beers I'm drinking all that much. And so this is 4.5 ABV, 11 IBU units, and if I recall correctly, of course I recall correctly, it's a sea salt that is used with this Gose, and it is brewed with the addition of Guava as an adjunct. So, without much further ado, we're going to be pouring this out. We're going to be using the Belgian glass. Mostly because the tall Pilsner style glass has already been used once, and I don't like to review twice from the same glass. I like to have it completely dried off and then dusted before a review. Okay, there we go. So, let's get to it. Oh, I can smell that already. Giving this a nice vigorous pour. So, coloration is a fairly opaque golden orange with a fizzy off-white head that is quickly receding. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That one's got a lot of funk there. So, kind of overripe guava almost smell. Strong minerality. I haven't had a beer with a bouquet with this much minerality in the nose there. Big funk, which is kind of surprising for Gose. And a couple of off notes too. I'm getting a hint of wet cardboard. So that's an off note there. Definitely within the New World interpretation of the Gose style. Tart from the front that intensifies in the mids, and then slowly declines in the finish, leaving a lasting funkiness on the palate. Not really getting much in the way of guava flavors on the palate. Definite salt in the front and in the finish, all along the edges there. There's a sort of indistinct fruitiness in the upper notes, the effervescent notes. Again, not too much guava dimensionality to that. The acidity is not so much on the palate, but you can definitely tell that it's there. from the feel. It's just that there's enough residual sugars, or just enough to kind of balance that out. Kind of an interesting mouthfeel, really. Mostly because it feels a lot thicker than some other goses that I've had. Ah, there we go. As it warms up a bit, some guava is starting to show up just in the upper notes. Just a brief flash, somewhat distinct right there in the mids. Sort of overripe funkiness is also increasing on the palate as it warms up a bit. I don't know how I feel about that particular flavor note. Forgot to mention carbonation. Feels pretty well carbonated on the palate as well. Interestingly enough, for a Gose, this one actually has some. I'm going to see here. It definitely has a little bit of wheaten malt notes there in the mid to finish, just briefly, that pop up. Between sourness and the funk, and the salt as well. As it's warming up even more, the sea salt showing up much more distinctly as not just saltiness, but the high minerality, the high excess minerality, seawater saltiness, I suppose, for lack of a better word. Brininess, I suppose, is the word I'm looking for. Brininess of seawater is showing up in the finish. Yep, that's the bird over there in the back. It's in the box. So it's a chick, which my niece found. Been abandoned by his mother because it is born deformed. It has one basically gimpy leg, so it can't walk or fly very well, or do much of anything. The other chickens pick on it, which is why it lives inside instead of outside with the other chickens, in a box, and for some reason unknown to me, it seems to want to keep on living, very much so. I don't know why. So I feed it, and clean it, and whatnot. And that is that and beer, and of course books is the completeness of my life. But I ramble on. Anyways, so this beer, Sea-Kissed Guava Gose, not too much on the guava. I would say it's definitely got a lot more of the sea aspect to it. Actually, let me take that back. Guava is starting to expand and become more prominent as it becomes very warm, and I'm really warming it up because, as you can see, I'm holding it like this with my full palm to kind of make it warm up quicker than it naturally would just through condensation alone. And yeah. a fairly complex Gose that develops over temperature. Not sure all the notes are absolutely, to my liking. And again, it seems to have just a slight off note in the bouquet, in the nose. Not overwhelming by any means, just very slight. But overall, other than that, this is pretty complex. I've had ones that I've enjoyed more, just in general, Goses and Goses from Lanikai. This is not one that I'm turning down. As you know, sours are my favorite style. But in summation, an imperfect but still very interesting Gose. The New World interpretation of the style. So basically, very big, very boomy flavor, saltiness, sourness, as well as whatever adjunct flavor is going on there. To tell the truth, actually, now that I think about it, this is one of the most salty, perceptually salty Goses that I've had. Mostly from how it shows in the finish. So folks, that's your beer review for tonight. Lanikai Brewing's Sea Kissed Guava Gose. Again, personally, I found a couple flaws there, but very interesting. Evolves over time and temperature. I definitely say give this one a shot if you can find it. I got this on tap, as you saw from the growler. But I believe it was also bottled in the Maukatu Makai series from Lanikai Brewing. And that is your beer review for the second beer review for tonight, folks. I am going to enjoy this, watch a couple of YouTube videos, put my chickens to sleep, and see what the night holds. Cheers.